Ed Gein being led away after his arrest in 1957. Police later found furniture, masks, and clothes made from skin inside his house. His life and crimes would inspire the horror movies Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs.
Now, Ed Gein was born in 1906 in a tiny town called Plainfield, Wisconsin. Now, his childhood was a complete nightmare. His father, George, was a violent drunk, useless, angry, and always drunk. But his mother, Augusta, again, was the opposite, and somehow even scarier. Augusta was super religious. Now, she hated women except her. Every woman in her eyes was bad except her. So she told Ed and his brother that all women are sinful and evil. So from a very young age, Ed was trapped, bullied in school, and isolated at home, and emotionally controlled by his mom, who trapped him and his brother Henry to stay in their remote farm. No visitors, no friends, just work, Bible reading, and their mother's voice in their head. Now, Ed practically worshipped his mom. Whatever the mom says, he listens completely. He doesn't disobey her. Now, one day, everything changed. First, Ed's father died. No big surprise because the man was a regular alcoholic. Then in 1944, his brother Henry died mysteriously during a fire on the farm. People suspected Ed had something to do with it, but there was no evidence and there was no proof, and his brother's death was swept under the carpet. Now, it was Ed and his mother left. And when Augusta finally died in 1945, Ed completely broke down. He was all alone. No friends, no family, nothing. That was when darkness took over Ed. After Ed's mother's death, he started spending nights in local cemeteries. He would dig up recently buried humans who reminded him of his mother. He took their bodies home, cutting them and preserving and stitching their pieces together. When police later described his house, they said it looked like a butcher nightmare. He made different things like masks made from human faces, lamb shapes made from human skin, bow made from human skull, and even a woman's suit sewn from skin of corpse because he wanted to become his mother. He literally tried to wear her skin sewn from other people's body. But Ed didn't stop there. He eventually killed two women, Mary Hogan, a tavern owner, and Bernice Warden, a local hardware store worker. Now, when Bernice went missing in 1957, police traced it to Ed, and what they found inside his house was beyond belief. Imagine walking into a farmhouse and finding human heads hanging on the wall, organs in a jar, and furnitures covered in human skin. That was Ed Gein's house. Even the police couldn't sleep after that day. When Ed was asked why he did all those things, he said softly without remorse, I wanted to bring my mother back. So he did everything he did. He did everything possible to bring the mother back. He was later diagnosed as legally insane and spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital. But he died in the year 1984 at age 77. But Ed Gein's twisted legacy lived on even after his death. His story inspired Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in Texas, Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
He'd play with the kids. They'd jump on his back, and he'd give them horsey back rides and things like that. He was just a nice, odd little man.
Well, Ed Gein was always a person that everybody liked to pick on. They'd take a bottle of beer and they would open it up and put a little whiskey in it to give him a little more jolt at noon there, unbeknown to him, to kind of get him going. He was, he was the guy that everybody picked on.
In the wintertime, it got kind of boring in the afternoon, so I'd go over there and sit with whoever was tending the store. And one day, Eddie Gein was there, and Irene, and we sat around the stove and we rehashed what it might have happened to Mary Hogan. I had a brilliant idea, and I said to Irene, I think I know what happened to Mary Hogan. And she said, what? And I said, well, I think Eddie ran off with her here. I said, he's such a lady killer. And he laughed, and he said, yeah, and yum yum, was she good? And I said, oh my God, Ed, what a terrible thing to say. I am glad that the house burned down so that there was always talk of somebody buying it and making a house of horrors and charging money to go through it. And I'm glad it's gone, so that that part was not carried out.